guys, welcome back to the Witchy Woman podcast. Zori and Kylie here today.
Hey.
Today we are going to be talking about yoni mapping. Not sure if you guys have ever heard of that or not, and relationships.
Yeah. So I brought yoni mapping to the pod because I discovered it like a year ago and was like, what is this? And then I did it once and then I was like, I need to literally tell everybody about this.
Yeah.
So essentially, I'll just do like a little bit of like free talking about it before I go on, like, because I have some websites pulled up because I don't want to miss anything, but like some free talking about it. Essentially, the idea is like, as like women or anybody with a vagina, I feel like a lot of times nobody's like really, in like the least hippie way. I'm gonna sound like a hippie. There's no way I'm not gonna sound like a hippie talking about this.
That's okay, we are.
But nobody's like close with their vagina. Like I would like, I feel like I know like a lot of people or like girls that'll be like, I don't even look at it, like I don't know what's going on down there, like
right.
And it's like so, and I mean even me, like I was very like comfortable with my own, but I still like didn't really know what was going on down there. Right. So I was like, okay, what is this? And essentially, like through the hippie people that I follow, found this thing called yoni mapping. And yoni is a Sanskrit word, which Sanskrit is the same language they use for like yoga, like Tadasana, like it's Indian. And it's a Sanskrit word for vagina or vulva.
Yeah.
So essentially yoni mapping is like a practice to connect yourself with your yoni by like kind of going in and exploring it on the inside, but it's different from masturbation.
Yeah.
It's like not the
it's
same
not
thing.
sexual.
It's not sexual. I think on the website that I was looking on, it was like it's normal if you have an orgasm while you do it, but it's not like the goal of it. So it says it's a type of massage that aims to make people feel more comfortable in themselves by exploring and developing their relationship with their body, which is essentially what this has done for like a lot of people. I've looked up like videos of people who have done it and they're like, I just never even like knew what was going on, and then I kind of looked and like just like went in and realized like how far I was from my own like,
yeah,
which it sounds like it doesn't make sense because you're with it all day, but if you don't look, you don't like pay attention, you don't notice the subtle differences. And what drew me to it specifically was just like, I was just like, I don't know, I felt like I could be getting more out of just like sex, and I just was like, what could I do? And so like I tried it, and it was very interesting because there's a lot of people who I was telling you before like have had here, I'll read through this. It says benefits of yoni massage. The main goal of yoni mapping is to help a person feel more in tune with their body and more comfortable in their skin. Some proponents believe that practicing this massage on one's own may help a person work through sexual trauma because it helps a person take control of their sexuality and learn what they enjoy. Others might find that practicing this with a partner enhances the relationship. It's important to note that yoni massage there's no like steady medical benefits. There's no like proven medical benefits, but I would say it's as much of a medical benefit as like going to get a massage or something, where it's just like you kind of also just like an emotional connection with yourself. But yeah, I wanted to talk about it because it was like I literally only did it one time, but I felt like I learned so much, and that's as somebody who felt like it was so kind of already in tune with what was going on. But like there was literal like tight spots, and I was just like, you never think of like the muscles down there.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, when I was doing it, I was like, this feels like a muscle knot that needs to be like massaged out. Like it didn't feel good. Like it was uncomfortable as fuck. And so I was like, what is going on? And I just kind of thought back, because I don't personally have any sexual trauma. So I just was like, what is this from? And then I realized like I had years of awful periods that like built up, and I just was like, oh my God. So I don't know. I wanted to bring it up because it's just like when it comes to like spirituality and like connecting yourself, and we talk about things like that a lot on this podcast, it's like that's a huge part of yourself that I feel like people neglect, even if you are like, even if you think you're doing everything, it's like maybe just like take some time and like check it out and see what's going on and how you feel, because I don't know, it's different. It's different. If you want to know more about it, I would just say, like, look up YouTube videos or look up, like, websites, because they go into depth of, like, how to do it if you want to do it. But it's super interesting to practice.
And when we were discussing this ourselves, we brought up that trauma can get stored there.
Yes.
And so, that's why the knots might happen.
Yes. If you've ever had... we store trauma physically anyway in a variety of ways, but especially...
Yeah, we can go into that.
Yeah, especially if you have, like... and a lot of people would say that that's bullshit, but it's not. If you think about it, like, something as small as, like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to, like, be so aggressive, but, like, if you think of something as small as, like, even if somebody were to, like, try to, like, fake you out and, like, act like they're about to punch you, and you flinch, and you're always flinching, like, you're gonna
tensing your muscles.
You're tensing your muscles. So when we talk about, like, sexual trauma with your vagina, or if you want to call it, like, a yoni, it's, like, kind of the same thing. If you went through a situation, or even like me, where I'd never had any, like, abuse or anything like that, but just kind of had these awful periods that made me get so anxious, and then also the muscles down there were always tense because of how bad my periods were, it's like those muscles just tighten and tighten and tighten, and they'll just stay like that after a while. If you hunch your back just for a really long time, it's going to stay like that. So
you're going to get hunchback.
Trauma is definitely stored in the body. If you're in some kind of situation that always puts you in a fetal position, you might, like, kind of be closed off, like, in that way of, like, always protecting. So definitely your hips. I'm sure whoever is listening to this has heard multiple times that trauma is stored in your hips. I always hear it when I, like, do yoga.
And I've heard that it's stored in your lower, like, gut, like, your lower abdomen.
Yeah. And I think it's because of fetal position. I'm not even going to lie. Yeah. Not that it's a bad thing, but we do it to protect ourselves. And I think
we do. Actually, a lot of people, if you think about it.
Because all our vital organs are right there. So when you're in fetal position, you're essentially like turtle shell. Like that, you're safe.
Okay, actually, that's just clicking in my brain right now. Yeah. Ever since you were a kid, up until even now, if you were scared, if you were hurt, if you were sad, you were in that position.
And what it does, like,
holding your legs,
it tightens everything here, which is not bad.
Because when you're feeling those emotions, that's a very you are scrunched together when you want to feel those emotions.
Not saying that position's bad to be in, but if it's a trauma situation, you're going to be in that position all the time. And if you're like me, where it's like you don't even realize, like, you know, if you do Kegels, like, whatever, even if you don't do Kegels, one of those things is that your pelvic floor is just, like, I don't know, it's just, like, its whole own mass of, like, I really encourage all of you to, like, look up, like, pelvic floor physical therapy. I went to a pelvic floor physical therapist, and that was just such an interesting experience. But essentially, if you think about, like, the knots that you have on your back, you could have those knots in your vagina as well. And if you're just carrying that around all the time, it could be the reason why you don't feel much when you have sex. It could be the reason why sex hurts. It could be, there's a variety of reasons behind those things, so definitely check more than just this, but that's definitely something to think about, like, the way that we hold trauma. So I just found it so interesting because it's just, like, I knew the pelvic floor existed. I used to be like, oh, you know, they always say do Kegels to keep your pelvic floor strong. So I used to just, like, do them randomly whenever. But I don't think I need to. I think my pelvic floor is already tight. Like, I think it's tight. I don't think it's strong, but I think it's tight. Like, I think it literally needs to be, like, relaxed before I, like, try to tighten it more.
Right.
So,
it's more so, I feel like Kegels is more so if you have had children or you have a bladder problem and, you know, you kind of, like...
Yes. But I was always, like, proactive about that stuff where I was like, before I even had those issues,
let me get ahead of it.
And then little did I know, I'm like, I already had, like, issues with my period. I did not need to be tightening anything anymore. Like, it's already so fucking... But yeah, there's definitely a difference. So I'm still kind of on a journey with trying to figure out what is going on. But I really wanted to, like, kind of share this on the pod for anybody who just, like, doesn't think about it. Because it's a huge part. I mean, there's a huge part of... Lots of parts of, like, spirituality that we kind of, like, don't talk about on the internet or don't get talked about as much. Yeah. And so I want people who are interested in podcasts like this and interested in spirituality as a whole to, like, really think about, like, your whole body. Because it is holistic. Like, all of it's connected. yeah, when I was talking to the pelvic floor physical therapist, I told her because I was having, like, these really bad cramps for my last period, and there was a point where I felt, like, a muscle release, and then I had, like, a muscle spasm in my jaw. Like, really? Right after. So okay. I was like, oh my God, is it, like, a nerve is pinched or something? And when I had told her about that, she was like, there's a lot of nerves that run, your jaw and your pelvis are really connected.
Really?
And I was like, what? And then I actually, like, a week after that, in my YouTube recommended, it was like, how your pelvis is related to your jaw or whatever. I was like, you're fucking joking. Like, that's crazy.
That is so strange.
I felt it before I knew it was a thing. And so I was like, that's so crazy. It's really all connected. So just think about it. Look into it. And, yeah, that leads us into, like, the rest of the pod.
Yeah, let's see. Sorry, just
you're fine.
Because I was thinking while you were talking about that, I was thinking about if trauma, so how trauma gets stored in your body, that most likely means that when you have a child, that can be passed through and down.
Oh yeah.
And I was just thinking that. I was like,
also just like you share the body with your parent the whole time.
Yes. So whatever trauma,
if you're going through trauma while you're pregnant.
Yes. That, and if they have unresolved trauma that's stored in them while you are growing inside your mother, you are probably going to receive that trauma as well.
That's crazy.
And then I was thinking, well, so when you're born, you're just born instantly with, like,
already
trauma stored in your body.
Yeah. It's kind of fucked, honestly.
Yeah, and then generational trauma, trying to, like, break that and stuff.
No, it's really wild, the way that things are stored in our body. And then the more you recognize it, the more you're like, if I can connect my emotion to my physical and heal both at the same time, like, you get a longer lasting healing from that, rather than just, I mean, obviously emotional is kind of going to be bigger than the physical, but if you can do both, like, you're really gonna release. That's like, I mean, I've never had this experience, probably because I've never had, like, crazy trauma, but, like, I know a lot of people that would be like, oh, I've cried during yoga, I've cried during whatever, and I used to low-key be jealous, because I'd be like, I want emotional release like that. When I was looking at yoni massage, people were, like, kind of, like, talking about, like, doing it, and then filming and vlogging right after and being like, here's my emotion, and people would be in tears, and I'd be like, why is that not happening?
Why is that not?
me being like, I want an emotional release. I don't have emotions to be released. Even my period stuff is like trauma, but it's not like emotional trauma, it's physical trauma. That's why I was like, why am I so tight? I was like, I don't have, so it's not emotional, but it's so interesting how when you release the physical, the emotional trauma comes up and comes out, especially if you're somebody that, like, holds everything in.
Yeah.
Like, if you're somebody that holds, people that hold stuff in emotionally, I know their backs are tight.
Yeah, I did that a lot as a kid, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely did not. What's it called when you hold it in? My mom would always say.
Suppress.
Yeah. You're always suppressing your emotions. Definitely as a child, I did that a lot. I try not to anymore.
No, I always let myself cry. I'm always like.
Well, I did too. But it would be, I wouldn't really say
what was, like, talk about it.
Yeah. I would kind of just go to the hold it in. And, like,
Damn.
But if you're someone who holds it in and you repress your emotions, think about, like, I'm just thinking about how you could have your great-grandma's trauma stored in you.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's being passed down.
But also emotionally, like, it gets passed down, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because it gets passed down, like, physically, but also emotionally, because it's like, because I used to think, like, oh, generational trauma, I didn't think it was bullshit, but I never understood how it worked. I was like, how are you, like, somebody that hasn't experienced something being affected by something else? And it's because the people that are raising you were affected by that.
Right. I was going to say, explain it on the pod to people that might not know what generational trauma is.
So, for example, if you're somebody that, like, doesn't understand generational trauma, think about it like this. If you go through, like, I don't know, say at some point in your life you got, like, robbed at gunpoint, right? Mm-hmm. And it was, like, in a city park or something like that. Like, and you have a kid, and then you don't go to the park with that kid because you're scared of parks.
Right.
so you go other places with the kid's not traumatized. You're not a bad parent. You're not like whatever. But anytime, you know, the kid's like, oh, like my friends are going to the park. You're like, no, honey, we don't go to the park. Never go to the park. That doesn't mean you are physically afraid of the park, but you're going to not also go to the park. And that is how that's just an example of how generational trauma could affect someone. So it's like you kind of avoid those things, you kind of miss out on that, and you wonder why. And, you know, like that's just a really light example, but of how like trauma affects behavior, and then those behaviors, because that person has those behaviors, they raise you with those behaviors. It's the same thing. So even if you haven't physically gone through something, you're affected by it. And like even my mom had a really like hard childhood, like a really like not great childhood at all, and I have a like my childhood was a dream compared to hers. Right. Like a dream to the point where I'm like, I don't even know, like now especially being older and understanding more of like what she went through, I'm like, I don't know if I would have been able to have a kid and not traumatize the fuck out of my kid like through that. And so my mom was literally breaking generational curses, but I still have those like things and like little things instilled in me, like little itty bitty things here and there that she got from her mom. And they're not like necessarily bad, but they're definitely behaviors that I realize are coming from trauma that is generational. And it fucks with my mind because my family's super estranged. So like I know about as much information on my mom's side back to like my grandmother's mom, and that's it. And I don't really know about her either. My grandmother's mom was like half Native American, and then her mom was obviously 100%. And my mom like kind of talks about like meeting her, and she had this like long braid down her back and everything. But there was like shit going on that my mom didn't even know about, and like I literally have this thing in my brain where I'm like, I wish I could go back and like interview all of them and figure it the fuck out, because like my mom broke it to the point where like I'm thinking, my mom like tells me what her mom did and kind of how her mom like raised her, and I'm like, you know, hurt people. So I'm like, what did she go through? And my mom's mom never like talked about shit. She would always pretend like she just didn't remember.
Oh, like the passive aggressive where it's just like,
and she'd just pretend like she didn't remember. Like, and so my mom would get older and be like, you did this, and this, and her mom would be like, I don't even remember that. And it's like, so you probably have some shit that happened to you that my mom doesn't even know about, because you have this pattern of just not like talking about it, and everybody copes with things differently. So it's like, I just think about this, like it wigs me out at night to like think about the shit that like all of them had gone through to get to the point of my mom, and then her breaking it is crazy. It's crazy to be the one that's like came out like My mom's always like, you know, she loves it. Like she is not like jealous at all. But my mom like always talks about like, it's so funny to think about the problems that you have now compared to the problems that like I had, and not in like a mean way at all. But she's like, I'm glad that you have these problems instead of the problems that I had. Yeah. And it's just like I said, the older I get, the more I understand what she went through, and I'm like, that is fucking crazy. I'm like, that's crazy, and like I don't know, it's crazy. And then on my dad's side, I'm just like, there's so many questions I have there too. I'm just like, what did you go through? Right. And nobody talks about it. No. And especially when you think about it now, it's like so normal to talk about it. In the like third 90s, generation, 80s, it was not. Nobody was talking about shit. Yeah. So I'm like, I literally wake myself out at night like thinking about scenarios of like what happened on both sides, like. Shit went down. Yeah. And I think like, about that too. I'm just like, oh, well, I love Amethyst. I'm like, oh my God. Don't get me wrong, like, I definitely have, like, issues from that, but, like, it's really, like, I'm very grateful for my mom. Like, so grateful. Like, what the fuck? It's crazy.
I always say that Ava and I will be the ones to, like, break our generational curses.
For sure, I see that.
It's gotta stop with us. Like, it's gotta end there. Like, I can't...
I feel like that's part of the reason I'm on, like, End My Bloodline shit. I low-key feel like it's, poetic in a way. Yeah. Not to be, like, up my own ass, but I'm kind of just, like, there's a long line. I keep trying to write poetry about my family, and... it never, like, comes out right, probably because I don't know what happened, I, like, am trying to whatever, but I always kind of start with something, like, I come from a long line of traumatized women, and I'm not, And so I'm like, why don't I just live my life in honor of them? Like, in honor of all of it. Because I also come from a long line of, like, teenage mothers. Mm-hmm. So I'm like...
I do, too.
Why don't I just, like, pop pussy my whole life for all these women that were traumatized and, like, had shitty lives and whatever... And then just end it here.
Yeah.
It ends with me, bitch. Like, and I'm gonna have a good fucking time. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like if I had a kid 100%, I don't think anything would, like, my mom, like, broke the shit, and I'm already a hippie ass fucking, I'm on fucking gentle parenting TikTok, and I never want to have a kid. I have, like, 4 parents on TikTok that, like, teach people how to gentle parent, and I find it so interesting and intriguing, like, how they treat their kids, and I love it, and I love how they talk to kids, and, like, whatever. I'm obsessed with it, and I never want kids. Like, I don't want kids, and I'm just like, this is so interesting to me. So I would have 100% been an amazing mom, and been, like, gentle parenting all up the wazoo, but I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I'm gonna just, like, live my life, and we're ending it here.
Yeah,
we
that's
don't need to pass it on.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You know where you could possibly somehow communicate with your ancestors or just get an image of it is possibly ayahuasca. Because
oh my God,
some spiritual girl, her podcast that I listened to, she said when she did ayahuasca she, like, saw all the generational trauma, and she, like, saw what her family went through.
Because it's
and,
in my
like,
DNA.
All that stuff. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, there's puzzle pieces to me I don't even fully understand. Like, I have so many questions about the native side. Like, I don't even claim it because it's so far down. Like, I think I'm 1/16th or something.
Yeah.
You can see it in my fucking bone structure, but, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I have so many questions about that because it was close enough to where my mom remembers, like, the fucking... And I'm like, I have so many questions about that. And, like, my mom remembers, like, these little snippets. And I'm like, what she remembers is only a piece of the story.
Right.
And I feel like that's still a lot. So I'm like, I wonder what really happened. And it's like, I always thought, I was like, if I did ayahuasca, I don't know. I was like, I don't have any, like, crazy trauma that I'd be wanting to, like, work through, so I don't know why I would do it. But that's actually
But
really
that
good
could be
reason.
what happened
That's actually
during your ayahuasca.
Really, oh my God, I think that would kill me. I would die. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to know. But I do want to know, but I don't. Yeah. Oh my God, that's crazy to think about. That's
no, it could be super intense.
That's such a good idea.
But she said that happened to her, so I was just like, I'll tell you about that, you know?
No, that's a really good, I never thought about that. I will definitely be journaling.
She said, like, after that, she was able to understand, like, why her dad was the way he was, why his parents, like, all this stuff. She just saw all into it and just, like, understood.
Yeah. Wow, maybe I'll do that someday.
Yeah.
The only thing about ayahuasca is that when people are like, everybody's like shitting and throwing up.
Oh, I'm like, I don't have to.
I don't want to shit everywhere and throw up while I'm high. Like,
it's only in the beginning. It's only as soon as you take it. Like, you, like, instantly, or, like, God. Minutes later, you throw up.
Awful.
You all go over and throw up together.
That's even worse, though.
Or, like, in different areas.
I'm fucking tripping balls seeing my generational trauma, and the guy next to me is shitting himself.
I don't think...
No. People have said, like, during their trip, instantly? People are, like, throwing up and shitting. And some people go outside and they throw up and they shit and then they spin around and they're fucking tripping balls. Like, that just sounds like an awful time. Everybody has puke buckets next to them. I've watched, like, 6 videos on ayahuasca. Like, people are like, yeah, I'm, like, having my trip. I'm, like, seeing my trauma. And then the guy next to me is, like, seeing his. And he's like, Dad, where are you? And then he throws up. And I'm like, this sounds literally like hell. I'm like, God, it sounds so awful.
I don't know if I like that everybody's right there with you experiencing their own, like, journey.
I'm tripping. I'm trying to do my thing, and the guy next to me is tripping, and then what if his is so traumatic that it, like, bleeds mine?
I don't think you can even... No. I think you're on your own track, and I don't even think you have recollection of what is even happening next to you.
You would think, right? But I've heard multiple people who have done ayahuasca. They say that they're very much in their own lane, but they also like, see people who, like... Because some people have, like, talked about it, and they're like, oh, yeah, then this guy next to me went outside, and I went outside with him, and then I was doing my own thing. So it's like, there's pieces of, like... Well, she went to the bathroom during. You're tripping balls, but it's enough to like go to the. You can go to the bathroom.
You can.
But the girl who did ketamine said that
you know what a bathroom is.
She was like you could not go to the bathroom on your own during ketamine. You would need help. And I was like, wait, so ketamine's worse than ayahuasca?
No, ayahuasca is DMT.
No,
DMT's in ayahuasca.
No, she said ketamine's worse. Not worse in general, but worse than like
actually.
That one girl, she had said like
because ketamine's a horse tranquilizer.
Yeah,
so you freeze up. I think.
No, okay, that makes sense.
So
that makes sense.
Like,
because I was gonna say, I remember the podcast girl was like, she was like, because when she talked about ayahuasca, like going to the bathroom, she's like, you could go to the bathroom, and I thought the same thing. I was like, you could go to the bathroom. And she was like, you know enough of what's going on to get yourself to the bathroom. Yeah. She was like, it's not necessarily like super easy, but you know enough of what's going on. But she said, like, during ketamine, she was like, yeah, that you need, like, assistance. Otherwise, she was like, you could maybe get yourself, but you'd be dragging yourself.
Because it's a horse tranquilizer. They use it when they're, like, operating on horses to, like, knock them out so they can't move.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Do not.
But, like, when you're on
horses tripping major balls when they fucking get operated on. That's crazy.
I don't know if you're tripping on ketamine.
You are.
I think you're just really
No, I told you. That girl saw her younger self. And her younger self was like, what happened?
Wow, and horses really beat... Well, to a horse, it might not affect them that much. They're huge. Like,
they're huge.
3-4 times the size of us, you know what I mean?
Because we're little.
But, like, shrooms and weed, you can get yourself to the bathroom. So, ayahuasca.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the fact that DMT is a part of ayahuasca... It's fucking scary because you hear of DMT.
It's scary, but it's also like, I'm so confused because it's like I don't know, ayahuasca's crazy because it's like, why is ketamine worse low-key, but you're not shitting and throwing up everywhere?
Well, think about it. Your stomach can hurt really bad on shrooms. I've heard of people puking on shrooms and weed. You know what I mean? Because it affects your stomach.
I don't know. I just don't want
it's a herb, and when an herb doesn't sit right with your stomach, it thinks it's poison. Okay,
you're right. Because
that's
why
technically
you're tripping.
poison.
Yeah, that's why you're tripping.
That's why you're tripping.
Yeah.
But they're natural poison.
Yeah, natural poison.
It's just
so interesting, dude. This stuff, I'm obsessed.
Yeah,
I'm obsessed.
I just watched a video on TikTok last night where this guy was explaining how good it is to hug a tree. Like, how actually beneficial it is to hug a tree. Mm-hmm. And, like, we all thought, like, oh, tree huggers, like, you're crazy.
Because let's talk about it.
I wish I could bring the video up. I wish I sent it to you. But when you hug a tree, he said that all your negative energy and ions, the tree takes it all in and gives you the positive.
Dude. Like, okay, so do you remember
nice
when we watched...
the tree?
No, literally, do you know that when we watched... Or do you remember when we watched Fantastic Fungi?
Yes.
And... it talked about how, like, mycelium underneath is how trees communicate with each other.
Showed that in the video as well.
I always think about that when it comes to, like, hugging trees and how, like, mother trees
if you guys did not know
protect and warm, like, their younger trees. Guys, go watch fucking Fantastic Fungi.
It's so good.
And if you smoke, go watch it while you're high. It's so good. It's such a good documentary, and it just makes you appreciate, like, nature so much more.
Nature, life.
And especially mushrooms. Like, I just think they're fucking so cool.
Yeah.
Like...
So the mushrooms, it was something like underground, the trees have mycelium, all these like...
Yeah. So, okay, if you guys don't know, essentially mycelium is like I'm not a mushroom expert. Like I said, go watch the documentary. But essentially mycelium, think about when something starts to mold. Like mold is fungus. When something starts to mold, like the white is like kind of like what mycelium is. It's like this interweb, like connected, and in the ground there's like a channel. It's like the nature's internet underneath the ground of mycelium. And so it's like all of these things like connected. And so the roots of the tree are underground, intertwined with the mycelium. So they can literally communicate with each other and send each other signals through the mycelium. It's adorable.
It's
and
precious.
So like I forgot exactly what example they gave, but they were talking about how like a mother tree can like kind of warn its like younger tree, or like if there's some kind of like shit going on. I don't know if there's like, I don't know, people cutting down trees. I don't know what the example was, but it was like, it can kind of like try to protect each other. And I'm like, not them literally being like their whole community. Like they have their whole own community. And I'm like, that's so, and it makes you realize how much like everything is connected. Like really, really everything is. Oh my gosh. And you realize all the channels and how things are so connected, like, with, just within you, like I was talking about earlier, but, like, I don't know, how much I always think about that line, like, our life imitates art imitates life, like, vice versa, because there's so much of us that is reflected within nature, and so much of nature that is reflected within us, and it's, like, I think they show some of that during the documentary as well, where they're, like, our eyes look like galaxies, and, like, our, I forget what else. Something is, like, roots, like, all of us, just, like, everything going inside of you. And also, like, this is part of the reason why I fell in love with, like, health sciences, is because when I took anatomy physiology, which is, like, known to be, like, kind of a hard class. Not really hard, it's just more of, like, information intensive. There's a lot of information, but it's a lot of memorization. So if you're good with that, which I don't know why, but I remember, like, everything. So it's not, like, chemistry or anything, because chemistry is fucking hard, but it's a lot of information. But what it is it teaches you what everything is and how it all works. And it's, when you know that, like, there was something about that class that, like, changed something in my brain of just, like, oh my God. Like, you're learning about things on, like, a microscopic level that go on just when you get a fucking paper cut. Yeah. And your body goes into, like, we need to fix that. Yeah. And it just starts, like, all of these different mechanisms going on to just fix this tiny thing that you're just like, oh, that's annoying. And it's crazy.
Our body is crazy, and nobody thinks about it.
It's crazy, and it's working overtime to keep you healthy, and that is part of, like, I was obsessed with, like, spiritual, like, being spiritual and holistic and, like, healthy before that. But after that, I was like, it's not an option. Like, this is, like, not in a way of, obviously, like, toxic, where you're just like, I'm only eating clean. Like, guys, I eat Takis. We talked about that. Yeah. Like, it's whatever. But it's, like, to a point where it's like, I'm not only gonna eat shit that's bad for me, because it's like, my body literally fighting for me, like, every single day. The least I could do is take care of it. Girl, like, that is the least I could do.
The moment I realized this, I was like, why would I punish my body? No. It's trying so hard. So that's why I have such a problem with nicotine and stuff like that. I look at people and I'm like, do you not understand every time you hit that, your body is trying so hard, your lungs, to instantly rid that. Okay. And then you hit it, and then it's instantly trying to rid it, and it can't catch up. And you just keep... It makes me so sad when people just... Or eating only junk food, or just alcoholics, or drugs. Like, your body is trying so hard. And I don't know why it makes me so sad. But it's, like, the same thing of how I, like, make stuffed animals, like... What is it? Personifying.
Personifying.
I do that with, like, bodies. Like, I feel so bad.
It's so really beautiful, the way the body works. And, like, I'm learning about, like, everything now, and the way it's so good at healing itself. Like, the body just, like, knows what to do.
And it doesn't even think twice. No. We don't even have to think about it.
That's what gets crazy. Me. Because when I was forced to think about it for my fucking grade, I was like... I was to the point where I could not eat a meal when I was taking this class. I could not eat a meal without thinking about the enzymes that were breaking down. Because once you know the name of them, you're more connected to it. So it's like, I'm, like, eating literally ramen, and I'm like, I know the enzymes that are breaking down. The enzymes are breaking down these carbohydrates, and these carbohydrates are going to feed my cells. And it's like,
it's so crazy.
You literally get fucking, it's so trippy. But I also was obsessed with it. And that's why I was like, I knew the moment that I was like, I love this class. Like, even though it was hard, it was, like, stressing me the fuck out. I was like, I'm going into the right field. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to the right field because I'm passionate about this. Because I'm obsessed with it in a good way. Like, that's crazy.
I also think, like, it's crazy how much our brains can memorize stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like...
Oh, we were talking about this earlier with songs.
Yeah, songs.
Oh, my God. Songs you haven't listened to that you used to listen to all the time. Go back and play a song that you used to listen to in, like whatever.
10 years ago or whatever.
That you haven't listened to in a really long time. Bet you any money you still know all the words.
All the words. And, like, you, as soon as it comes on, you don't even think twice. You just start singing it, and it just happens.
No, yeah.
Just like with your job. Think about all the jobs you've had in your life, and you can memorize that job to a whole. Like,
well, I just told you what was, like, on the salad that we used to work at the same salad place.
What?
And I was like, it's crazy. It's so crazy.
And your brain just never rids that. I mean, eventually, but what?
Dude, it trips me out.
The fact that your brain can store so much.
The first time that I was working at the restaurant I work at, kind of, because I haven't worked in there in, like, a year. But when I was working there and I, like, left for college and I came back in the summer, I remember being like, oh my God, do I even remember, like... But I just picked up the phone. I was like, thank you for calling, blah, blah, blah. Like, I was like, oh my God, why is it all, like, and I knew the menu still. I was like, no, that doesn't come with tomatoes. Like, whatever. Like, I just was like, that's so crazy.
God, our brain and our body.
Like, I haven't thought about this menu. I haven't thought about this job in months. And it's just all here at this. Like, honestly, I think if I started working at Corrigan, like, immediately would be like, yeah. No, I know. And
you don't even think...
I know what comes on all of these salads.
The fact that you don't have to tell yourself to move your body part, like, you're not, like...
It's all there.
Arm, move. Yeah. Like, it just happens. All at the same time.
And it's,
like, dancing.
That, too, when you understand, like, how neurons fire and, like, how your body tells your brain something, because all your nerves... send your brain signals as soon as something happens. And when you realize that process, like when you're learning it, you're writing it down and you're like, oh, this is so much. And then you realize, like, when you're learning it, that this is something, this is a process that happens in a millisecond.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, learning it. It's taking me, like, fucking 3 minutes to write it down fully. Like, we learned about, like, glycolysis, like how your body turns, like, carbohydrates into sugar. In the whole process of that, I had to memorize literally all of the reactions for glycolysis. And it's like all of these steps. And I'm just like, it's taking me forever. I'm like, my body just does this every fucking day. Like, that's crazy. So crazy. It's so crazy. Oh my gosh.
It's, your body is just, it's so wild.
Yeah.
No. And the fact that, so our brain stores a lot, right? But we're also only using, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Not even our fullest capacity.
I'm so confused about that because I've heard people say, like, people are like, you only use 10% of your brain. And then other people are like, that's literally not true. You use 100% of your brain. But should we look it up?
Yeah.
I'll do the research right now. We're going to find out.
I mean, how can you even test how much a person is using of their brain?
It would be like MRI or something.
Yeah.
Like,
but it would have to be...
like, scans of that.
I mean, you would literally have to be following that person around all day to see what they're, like, memorizing, what they're remembering. I don't think you could get that information.
Okay. So the myth was examined on Mythbusters. Yes, they used MRI to scan the brain of someone attempting a complicated mental task and found that as much as 35% was used during their test. So more than 10, but 35 is still not a lot.
So we used 35%, they're saying?
That was just one test. How much of our brain do we actually use? According to a survey, around 65% of Americans believe... Okay, no.
Off of one person or multiple people?
I think that was just one. That's why I was like, I don't think that's like... The brain uses approximately 20% of the body's energy, although it makes much less... This is not helpful. Honestly, I don't know if there's an answer.
Because I don't think they know. The Snapchat person?
No. The actual, like, ChatGPT.
Oh.
Like...
I just don't think they know that answer. I don't know. I'm not even sure how you would, like, conduct that research.
Yeah, it's hard. Some research you just can't conduct. The idea is, in reality, it says we use all parts of our brain, although not all regions are active simultaneously.
Okay, we use all parts.
Yeah, but...
Whatever. What's that movie, Lucy? Is that the movie where she uses...
Like, you use 100% of your brain.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I don't know. It's so interesting. So interesting to me. But, yeah. So, I mean, if this has not convinced you, like, please do things that make you take care of yourself. Self-care is more than just, like, a fucking face mask. And I wish people would understand that because it's, like... That is so good. Self-care is more than just, like, doing... Self-care is discipline. Self-care is, like, showing up for yourself when you don't want to. When you are, like, so tired. Like, this is... Like, I talked about my word of the year being discipline. And I'm doing, like, a week of Pilates, like, this week. And I was doing Pilates last night. And I remember halfway through, like, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I, like, had paused the video, and then I was like, okay, should I just end it here? And then I was like, because I was, like, halfway through, like, it was a good amount in, so I was like, I mean, I got a good workout in, so I was like, I could stop here. And then I was like, oh, I really don't want to quit. And then, like, my brain literally was like, then don't.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, bitch. Like, I was like, fine. And then I finished it, and it was fine.
I have to do that, too, with working out.
It's so hard. It was a fight. I was sitting there for, like, literally, like, 3.5 minutes, like, I don't want to quit, but I don't want to finish this video. And then my brain was like, well, if you don't want to quit, then don't.
Yeah.
That's the answer. And then I was like, okay.
They say the hardest part is actually getting yourself to the gym.
It's mind over matter. Once you're there, it's like, I'm doing it. That's why it's like the little brain tricks, like, I forgot where I learned this, but it was like a couple different places, I think, where it's like, lie to yourself and tell yourself, like, or even don't lie to yourself, but literally tell yourself, be like, if you really don't want to do your homework, be like, let me just look at it. Or let me just do it for 5 minutes. I'll set a timer. Chances are you're going to end up doing it for longer than that. If you tell yourself, like, oh, I really don't want to go on a walk, I'll just go up my street. By the time you go up your street, you're going to be like, damn, it's nice out.
Like, I'm just going. I might as well.
You're already out there. Yeah. So if you trick yourself into being like, it doesn't have to be a whole thing, which is also true. Even if you just go up the street, that's better than not going out at all. So it's like, at the end of the day, if you just cut it to do whatever you can, like, at the end of the day, if I did really stop yesterday, it wouldn't have been bad. It wouldn't have been the end of the world. I still got myself to do Pilates that day, but I was like really, again, with that word in the back of my mind, discipline. I was like, well, what's stopping you from doing it? What, you're not tired? Like, you have time. There's only like 7 minutes of video left. Like, do it. Oh, just do it. What are you gonna, like, whatever.
The amount of times that I've driven to the gym, sat in my car for like 10 minutes being like, go in, like, just like procrastinating, sitting there.
It's so hard. I honestly have convinced myself, like, sometimes I'm so used to like trying to convince myself to do stuff now that sometimes I'll start getting dressed for something before I can, like as I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do this, I already have like socks and my whole outfit on, and I'm like, oh well, I guess I might as well now. Like I'm already getting dressed while I'm like, oh, should I go? And I'm like literally in the middle of getting dressed.
So funny.
So it's so crazy, but yeah, no, it's crazy.
I feel like, should we tap into like one of these random ones?
Yeah.
Like either this one.
Yeah, maybe we should do
or that one.
Oh God, this is hard. We have some other topics that we're trying to come up with that we're trying to decide what like connects to this. What do you think?
We can, maybe that one is boredom.
Yeah. Let's talk about that one.
Okay.
So we kind of, yeah. No, let's talk about it. But I just don't know what to say. You can start.
So okay. If you are around our age, like if you're in your 20s or above, you know, growing up that. I wouldn't say we were very bored children, but we didn't have all the things that children have now. Yeah. iPads at your fingertips. We had TVs, but just nothing at our fingertips where if we were crying or upset or bored that we could just look at an iPad and be like, yep. Or like your parent just shoves the iPad in your face because you're crying and they don't want to deal with it. I think kids need to be bored. This is like kind of a huge topic I know people have been talking about. If kids are not bored, it's going to cause a lot of issues. I feel like socially...
I feel like they're not using a part of their brain
that they have to. Imagination. Yeah. How about that?
Imagination is a huge one.
So if you have an iPad as a child and all these electronics, you are probably not going to play with your toys as much. You probably will not have imaginary friends. The movie that we just watched, Imaginary. Yeah. You're probably not going to have those things.
Yeah. No,
because why would you need an imaginary friend if you have your iPad and you can watch TV? You're not even thinking about using your brain to make up friends.
And aside from just kids needing to be bored, people need to be bored.
Yeah.
People need to be bored because I think about all the time, like, I had TV as a kid and I watched a lot of TV as a kid. I had a TV in my room as a kid and...
I was never allowed to.
I had one. I just like always got hand-me-downs from my mom, and she was just like living on her own for the first time, so it was so cool because like if she needed a new laptop, I got her old one. Yeah. So I just had a full laptop at the age of 7, like whatever. So it's like I had these things, but it also was like an only child, and the internet wasn't what it is now. No. So I was definitely on the internet. and grew up with the internet, but not in the way that kids are now. And I definitely was, like, pretending a lot.
Yes.
Especially as an only child with, like, a large imagination. Like, I don't know. And then me and my friends, like, when we got together, it wasn't, like, getting on the internet.
No, I mean, like, did you guys play house together?
We all played house. We all played house.
I don't think kids do that really now.
We would come up with games. Yeah. And then there was always, like, a situation where it would be, like, somebody had played a game with their cousin and they didn't know what it was called, but they remember how to play it. Now they're showing us how to play it, and then that gets passed on.
Yeah.
Like, we're all
or Manhunt. Yeah, do you remember Manhunt? Yes. Was so fun.
Little things like, what was the one called? Red Rover.
Yeah.
And, like, just being in a sandbox.
Kids do not like, do that anymore.
We just got, like, enrichment. And there's not, like, enrichment being had. There's, like, I don't know, feel like dead eyes, like, on a... Like, I don't fucking know, dude. Like, it's crazy. But, we can talk a little bit more about the dopamine detox because that's how people are doing it now. Is like, I've seen, I saw one video of somebody being like, there's actually one of my recommended that said, like, why we need to be bored. It's in my, like, watch later, but it was like, why we need to be bored. And I think it was also, like, / doing a dopamine detox. And essentially these people literally, like, go without their phones for, like, a week. Or they kind of make it so their phone is only used for, like, text and call, almost like a flip phone used to be.
Yeah.
So, they literally have to, like, find other things to do. They, like, do puzzles. And I feel like this goes into, like, having hobbies, which I don't know if that was one of our... Yeah, but not having... I feel like a lot of people don't have hobbies. I, like, chronically have hobbies, and I don't know if that's, like, just a different issue. But I just have, like, too many that I, like, just rotate. So I always make a joke that I kind of get, like, mediocre. I'm mediocre at, like, a lot of things, but not really good at anything.
Yeah, me too.
because I pick up so many that it's, like, I'm never going to sit and, like, fully get good at this one thing. But I'll always come back to it. So I get, like, I'm, like, okay at, like, a lot of things. But, yeah, I feel like that's a part of it. Like, a lot of people's hobby is their phone.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't have anything outside of that.
Yeah, that's very true. A dopamine detox would be great if you were, like, going with your friends, like, cabin in the woods for a weekend or a week. It would be so fun.
No, but that's the fun way to do it. I feel like the way it needs to be done, though, is when you're still, like...
that's true.
In a house.
When you're,
like, when you're... Because, I mean, that's just a retreat. Like, everybody wants that. I feel like even people with, like, phone addiction are like, But...
But people with phone addiction will still use their phone.
No, yeah, they definitely still would. Unless there was no service.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, what are we going to do? I don't know. But I think we need to bring back stuff like that. Just making up games. Like, me and my friends used to make up games. Be like, okay, you're going to do this, and we do this. Yeah. Like, whatever. Like, we talked about once, like, bringing back playing with dolls. Because like, the Barbie movie
dolls
made us,
were
like,
so fun.
Dude, playing dolls as an adult would be so fucking fun.
Yeah.
Because you can swear.
Yeah.
There can be so much drama. Like, why are we not doing that? I'm sorry. Get me a
Whip
Bratz
out
doll
my Bratz dolls. I still have
now.
my Bratz dolls.
Dude, we would literally go so... We're like, they just get fucked up.
After we drink our wine.
No, we literally should because... Dude, when you're a kid, like, playing with your dolls, you have to be careful because, like, adults are around. You can't, like, cuss. Like, you can't... Whatever. Yeah. So all the fights were over, like, stupid things. Like, don't kiss my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, you can literally... If you're playing dolls as an adult, it's like, you're a fucking bitch. Like, you're just, like... And
you're a fucking whore, Lindsay.
Fight. Like, that, why are we not doing that? Like, be creative.
Oh my
God.
God.
Not as just being on our phones. Like,
and as
when we could be playing dolls.
And as kids, we literally played in the dirt, bro.
No.
I played with bugs.
Dude, being witchy.
Bugs.
I need to
bugs
talk about
and frogs. This. I was such a tomboy as a child.
Dude, how do you feel about bugs? Let's talk about it. I'm changing. Okay. I'm kind of switching the topic, but it's kind of on the same thing.
Now,
we need to talk about
really fuck with them. But as a kid, I was playing with frogs, worms. Dude, loved worms.
Dude, loved worms too.
Roly-poly-oly thingies. Yeah. Ants. All of the bugs. I hold them, crawl all over me. I love frogs.
This is, like, going to be a hot take that's, like, not a hot take because no, it's not going to make anybody mad.
Yeah.
But, like, it's a big statement for me. I feel like healing your relationship with bugs will heal your relationship with your inner child. Like, 100%.
I don't disagree.
I've been on a journey of healing my relationship with bugs. It's not that deep, but it kind of is. Like, it was, like, 2 years ago where I was like, I don't want to be... I mean, I was never, like... I never got to a point, because like I said, we used to be like tomboys, like in the dirt, whatever. I never was like the person that would get like, a spider. Yeah, no, I never freaked out that hard about it, but there was a point where I was just like, oh, a spider, and I would like kill it immediately. Yeah. Or like, ew, like what is that bug? And I would smash it with like a whatever, and I was always just like killing bugs because I just was like, you're in my space. But then I started being like, maybe let's like switch the narrative a little. Like,
Wait, did you start off playing with bugs and then you got to a point?
Yeah, I started off playing with bugs and then I just like got older, and I don't know if I feel like I've mentioned this to you before or said it. I said it to somebody before, but it sounds so fake deep, but it's like you literally, after being a kid, I feel like most kids are like so like into the ground or into the like dirt or whatever because you're so close to it, like physically or that's short. True, yeah. And you literally grow away from nature as you get older. Like you grow away from the ground, you get taller. Yeah. So you're not as close to that world, so it just becomes more foreign of like, what the fuck is down there?
That's true.
Also, you do get older and realize like there's other stuff in the dirt that you don't want to fuck with. So like on that
more
end,
aware,
I'm gonna
less
like
naive.
Aware, yeah. You're less like, this is fine, like this is just dirt, like whatever. But I also just noticed that you are physically growing away from the dirt. Like I haven't been down there. I don't go down there anymore. When you're a kid, it's like down there is like 2 seconds away.
In the summer though, we do have our lunch picnics in the grass.
We do.
I will sit in the grass in the summer.
But I connected this to the Hailey Hendrix song, like The Bug Collector, which was like a thing on, I don't want to say it was a thing on TikTok, but it was definitely one of those TikTok songs where it was like, I don't know. The lyrics are essentially like, I'm going to bring up the lyrics because it's worth it. Because I'm like, if I don't bring them up, it's not going to make sense. But if you guys know the song, you probably have heard it. But I'm just going to bring up the lyrics. Because it's funny because I didn't start it because of this song. But I remember like a little after I started it, I got into this song. And I was like, this is so interesting because this song means so much more to me than like whatever. It really explains this idea of like kind of healing your relationship with bugs. And I was like, this is so interesting. So the beginning verse is like, and there's a centipede naked in your bedroom, and you swear to God the fucker's out to get you, and I digress. Because I must make you the perfect morning. I try my best to scoop the slugger out the window. And there's a praying mantis prancing on your bathtub, and you swear it's a priest from a past life out to get you. And I digress. Because I must make you the perfect evening. I try my best to put the priest inside a jam jar. And then it kind of like goes on, like there's a millipede angry on your carpet, and the whole thing is like at the end she's like, I try my best to prove that nothing's out to get you, and I'm just like, it's so funny.
So is that our issue, that as we get older we think everything's out to get us?
I don't want to say it's like, it's not, that's why I'm like, this is such a poetic thing to heal your relationship with bugs, because it's not just bugs, like but, you know, the fear of bugs, or, like, the fear of, like, a bug in your space is just, like, oh, my God, like, that is gross. Like, I don't know what that is. But that's just a little guy. They don't care about you. They don't give a fuck about you. Like, they really don't. I mean, unless it's, like, literally, like, a poisonous, something that could hurt you. Right. Which is, honestly, like, really rare.
Which still they're not in, like, out to get you. It's even only when you fuck with them. They're looking,
exactly.
So they're defending themselves.
I just was like, I feel like I always thought the worst, right? When I was, like, anytime I killed a bug that was in my room, and it, like, there was a point where I was like, I was never afraid of bugs, but there was a point where I was like, if a bug is in my room, I'm not going to be able to sleep. Yeah. In my head, I'm just like, it's going to crawl on me. But I'm like, girl, it's not all about you. Yeah. That bug does not give a fuck. It does not want to be all upon you, unless it's like a bed bug. But that's a different story, y'all. Get those out of your house. Or it doesn't
realize it's like on you. It's not always trying
to be on you. So I just slowly tried like exposing myself to bugs again. Yeah. And so like I remember there's like this video of me like stoned, and I was like hanging out with this roly-poly. I'll show it to you after the pod.
Wait, I feel like
I sent it to you. I don't know, but I was hanging out with this roly-poly, and it was like so funny, and I like got attached to him, and I was like, oh my God. And I remember I wanted to pick him up, then I got like grossed out, and I was like, I don't want to pick him up, and I was like, whatever. Also, you don't need to pick up bugs in order to like expose yourself to this, but like I remember I was doing, this was recent. I don't know if you saw my post, but I had posted like a spider on my story.
I think so.
It was like not too long. It was like a week or like 2 weeks ago. And I was doing some kind of homework that I did not want to do. And I like looked up while I was doing the homework, and I saw the spider, and I was like, oh my God, I was going to have to get it. And then I was like, literally why? I was like, why? Because you want to control something? Because you want to do something other than your homework right now? Like, this spider is not fucking with you. And I remember like kept looking up, and that's why I took a picture of it and posted on my story, because I was like, you're not killing this bug. And then I posted it with the song like Bug Collector in the background, because I was like, also that spider just didn't move like the whole time. Just like stayed in the same spot. Yeah. I woke up and it was gone, and I was just not bothered, because I was like, it's not on me. Like, it's not trying to get me.
Yeah.
And I started also, like, being in the habit of, if I saw a bug, I would do the best I could to just, like, try to take it outside.
Yeah.
And so I just found myself, like, in doing that, you get closer to them because you have to find a way to, like, interact with them. And I think I remember what started this journey for me is that I wanted to be chill with the bees. That's always, like, the thing in my head. I'm like, people who can, like, have bees on them, like beekeepers and stuff like that, I get so jealous because I'm like, that is so cool. To be cool with the bees. And the bees were like, yeah, we fuck with you. Yeah. I'm like, I want to be cool with the bees. And I'm like, if I want to be cool with the bees, I need to be cool with everybody. Yeah. Like, all the bugs. Yeah. And then it became, like, a thing of, like, why am I so, like, detached from them in the first place? And then it became, like, a whole... This sounds so, like, over melodramatic for bugs. But it's like, it really is... I realized through trying to heal my relationship with bugs how connected that was to, like, my inner child and how connected it was to just, like, getting farther from nature. And I was like, if I'm going to be fucking spiritual, I can't be fucking afraid of any random beetle or bug or, like... Even if not afraid, but just, like, killing it when it's in my space. That they're a part of nature.
It's their space. I'm on
their space.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, if anything, I should help them outside so nobody else, like, you know? If I don't want them in my space, then I can just help them out. And if I don't want to help them out, then I'm leaving them.
Right.
Like, you're not going to be whatever, right? So I'm like, I try to keep that mentality.
Same thing with animals.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I literally almost hit a deer the other day. Mm-hmm. And I thought... I'm in their space. Mm-hmm. We built a highway. Dude, they're crossing the road because they don't realize road. They think it's all theirs.
And
because it is.
They do know now. They do know. Yeah. They know what roads are. Sometimes they wait by them and like some of them.
But when they don't and they get hit, it's not necessarily their fault.
Sometimes judgment, it's not their fault. It's crazy, and I could go on a whole show.
And we get mad, but we built highways over their land.
Dude, it's so fucked.
They were here first.
You're vegetarian. I'm vegan. We both. I don't actually. You kind of went. Wait, did you go vegetarian on accident? Because I was like vegan on accident. Okay, it wasn't like this really on purpose. Yeah, but I feel like that also. Because I feel so connected to animals in that way, it definitely, like, bled over into, like, the bug thing where I was like, you know, if I care about animals so much to, like, not eat them, I'm gonna also, like, care about... Yeah. I'm just trying to be more one with all of it.
Yeah, all of it.
Just all of it.
Well, do you ever wonder when you were a kid and you did play with bugs, do you ever wonder where the disconnect went? Like, when you stopped? Like, I can't even remember when all of a sudden I was like, ew,
probably
oh my God.
When we stopped having, like, playtime outside.
Yeah.
In the middle of the school day.
Yeah.
When we were just, like, inside all the time?
It's just so... Yeah, that's true.
Because there was a point where you just stopped going outside for break,
I feel like...
And instead you go to lunch, and then you go back, and you're inside the whole day.
Yeah.
You don't go outside anymore.
On the weekends, after school, I was always outside with my neighborhood friends.
Yeah. It stops, though. Like, there
comes a point when you become super aware.
You grow away from it. Yeah, you grow away from it, and... I mean, not everybody does. I'm sure there's a lot of hippie kids that just were connected and never...
Yeah.
Stopped being
think about it. A lot of guys, they're just like, oh, it's just a bug. Yeah. They'll touch bugs. Yeah. A lot of, like, country guys.
Yeah. And I think, you know, when we think about, like, mice, too, in our houses and stuff, and that, like, freaks me out. But I'm like,
I know.
They are as scared as we are. Oh. Like, they're freaked out.
This could be a whole nother thing.
Dude, do you know what makes me so scared of glue traps?
Oh, stop. I can't with the traps at all. But
crazy.
Mice in our house, we freak out. But also, people go to the pet store and get hamsters.
No, it's
the same fucking thing.
It is ass backwards.
And you'll let it run around in its ball. Yeah. Its little, like,
and also, animals don't bite you when you're not screaming. Yeah. So people are like, I'm afraid it's gonna bite me.
Well, like, the mouse?
Unless it's, like, rabbit. Like, they're not gonna bite you. If you're, like... Like, have you ever seen those people of, like, oh my God, there's a mouse, but then, like, some dude comes in and he's like, I'll just, like... Not grab it, but, like, get it in a box and, like, take it out. Yeah. Like, they don't want to be in your fucking house. Yeah. They got in there on accident. They can't see that well.
Or they wanted food, or they wanted to be warm.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just, like, taking those things into account and realizing that they're, like, sentient beings as much as we are sentient beings. And they want life as much as we want life. I'm just like, okay. Yeah. It's fine. It's chill. Like, it doesn't need to be that deep. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Good podcast. Yeah. I think that pretty much wraps it all up on this episode. If you guys liked it, you know what to do. Follow along for more. Share, like, subscribe. Yeah. All of the above. But thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you.